Hey guys, Simon here, and thanks for stopping in and checking out the video. Today I am talking about Spider-Man for the PS4 and going to give you a little backstory on one of the villains possibly confirmed for the game, Tombstone. In the video I'll give a little backstory on Tombstone and some of his abilities and how he could fit into the overall story for the game. If you guys enjoy the video, do the button thing, subscribe, and leave a comment letting me know what you think. Thanks again for watching, and here we go. Tombstone was created by Gary Conway and Alex Savick as a way to stuff more characters into Spider-Man stories, that's what she said. Besides Mary Jane, Aunt May, and J. Jonah Jameson, the writers wanted to explore and learn more about second and third tier characters. Tombstone's backstory was written with a history tied to Joseph Robbie Robertson, one of the editors at the Daily Bugle newspaper. Another reason the character was created was because of a need/want by the writer Conway to bring back a big gangster type character like Hammerhead, but not Hammerhead himself. One thing leads to another, and Tombstone's backstory slowly begins to form. Tombstone's real name, Lonnie Thompson Lincoln, was born in Harlem, New York. Lonnie's life started out tough as he was bullied due to being an African-American albino. However, he was taller and stronger than the other children, and after a time, he began bullying them and extorting money from the other children for protection. At the time, a school newspaper ran by Joseph Robbie Robertson was going to run an article about Lonnie and his activities, but it was pulled at the last minute due to Lonnie threatening and intimidating the staff. As time went on, Lonnie became a hitman and enforcer for the mob, using his appearance as an albino to his advantage by filing his teeth to points along with his fingernails to give him a vampiric-like appearance to scare his opponents. He hones his fighting skills by participating in street fights and lifts weights in order to increase his strength. In a random event later on, Joseph Robertson was given a tip on a big story and went to meet a source, only to witness Lonnie kill the man. Lonnie threatened to kill Robertson if he ever told, and Robbie ends up keeping the secret for years. Time passes again, and Lonnie begins calling himself Tombstone and has become a hitman for the Kingpin with a reputation. In time, Robbie goes to the police and gets Tombstone sent to prison, but not before Tombstone confronts Robbie and breaks his back. Later on, Robbie is sent to prison for suppression of evidence, and upon discovering this, Tombstone gets himself transferred to where Robbie is incarcerated to make his life miserable. First, he kills Robertson's befriended bodyguard, Bruiser, then spends his time slowly mentally torturing Robbie and pushes the envelope when he forces Robertson to break out with him. Long story short, the two escape and run, but Spider-Man catches Tombstone with Robbie's help, which also helps to secure his release. Tombstone later escapes jail again and joins up with Hammerhead and Chameleon. Eventually, Tombstone gains his superhuman strength when he encounters Robertson at Osborn Chemical Plant. Robbie ends up shooting Tombstone and locking him in an airtight chest chamber which contains some type of experimental gas. The gas gets absorbed into Tombstone's blood and as a result gives him enhanced strength, speed, stamina, reflexes, and makes his body highly resistant to physical injury, allowing him to shrug off being shot by bullets. On top of this, his body is also capable of withstanding extreme temperatures and toxic gases without injury. Due to this, Tombstone drops his vendetta against Robertson, seeing this as a gift from his former friend. Some tie-ins from the comics include Tombstone critically injuring a friend of cop Yuri Wantable, who is in the game and as a result sees Tombstone go to jail, but he is released by a judge whose wife is later saved by Tombstone himself. However, Mr. Negative, who is also in the new Spider-Man game, supplies Officer Wantable with evidence on Tombstone blackmailing the judge and gets Tombstone sent back to prison. However, one of Tombstone's thugs kills the judge to stop all that nonsense. During a jailbreak, however, Tombstone is shot in the chest by an inner demon disguised as Crime Master, another Spider-Man villain, but he survives and he ends up getting out later on. With what little information we have on this new Spider-Man game, we can draw a few conclusions. First, Tombstone is probably working for Kingpin as an enforcer and assassin of some nature. It would make sense he runs his own gang but is under Fisk's thumb, as is everyone. With Fisk getting tossed into jail, I would assume Tombstone tries to rise up, as will the other criminals in the city. With the recent news of a Daily Bugle newspaper, a certain substance called grave dust is in this new Spider-Man game that turns whoever uses its skin an ashen gray and hardens, similar to Tombstone's appearance. They also break into fits of rage, inflicting violence against others and themselves. These thugs that have ingested the drug appear to be wearing vests that have a T on their breast, which could identify them as minions of Tombstone, pushing his street drug grave dust to counteract Mr. Negative's street drug, which also turns people into his minions, which helps bring the two into conflict similar to how they do in the comics. Likewise, Tombstone and Officer Yuri could find some type of crossover similar to the comics, with Spider-Man working with her during the game. And it goes without saying that Lonnie and Joe Robertson could have some type of history, which could also tie this villain in with Peter Parker because he used to work with Robbie when he was at the Bugle. I know I can't wait to see how this villain plays out in the game. I just know that each day we get closer to the release, I'm getting more and more excited to get my hands on this game to just see how great it's going to be. We have barely scratched the surface really of villains and Easter eggs that could be in this game, not to mention possible cameos such as the reveal of Silver Sable this past week. All in all, this game looks to be very impressive. I hope you guys enjoyed my ramblings, and if so, I'll see you next time. Thanks again for watching.